What is going on, guys? How y'all doing? Welcome to the replacement chat because NEA is MIA. I'm your host, Corey, at Homesteading with SoullessGinger. How's it going? We're welcomed here by Mr. Ohio Patriot. How's it going, brother?
Not bad. We finally got school choice passed today here in Ohio.
I saw that.
Pretty happy about that.
I bet people are losing their shit over it too, aren't they?
There was a bunch of leftists that showed up and the mainstream media covered them because they were putting tape on their mouths, and they're obviously these commie age college kids. But there was like at least 100 something pro-choice people outside that were like, "Hey, we actually want this, and we actually they're the ones that have kids here." So
Mm-hmm. Well, let's have to keep an eye on it and see what perspires. We are pretty much know that
yeah,
he's gonna
it
lose their
passed the
money.
Senate, so it needs to go to our state house now and go through that whole rigmarole. So I'm assuming it'll be a committee here in the next week or so.
Good. Keep us apprised. We're also joined here by Simple Dan. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How's it going with you?
Doing good, doing good. Just thought I'd do a pop up chat here, fill in because somebody's MIA.
Yeah, the chat notice popped up in my feed, and then I was like, yeah, all right,
Yeah,
let's
I
do
told
this.
everybody I would explain what was going on because, Daniel says I was probably hitting all the buttons. What happened was I had initially done created the live chat from my phone. And when I was able to get on my computer and I was going to come in and start sending out links and everything, it wasn't showing it. So I was like, well, crap. So I just deleted the first one and started another one so I could be on the computer instead of on my phone because StreamYard drains the ever loving crap out of my battery on my phone.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, just being on Streamyard it'll take easily 40% of my battery.
yeah.
Just being on for a couple of hours, whatever.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. So, how's it going, chat? Welcome in for number two. But technically, if you want to be technical, three, because, you know, I'm a deepity, can't figure technology. It's hard. uh, so, we're just waiting for some more people to roll in. I don't know who all's going to show up because, like I said, this is a last minute chat. Matt had texted me earlier and said he's going to be busy this evening. So, I should do a pop up chat. I was
Yeah.
like, cool. I had some things to do before getting it all set up and live. So I was
Well,
a few
did you
minutes.
advertise? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was technically a few minutes late again. At least I wasn't 45 or 40 minutes late this time. I was only like maybe 10.
Yeah.
But I sent out on Discord and everything. So just
Yeah.
people have got to find it.
People will trickle in.
Oh, yeah. If not, we'll just have a little campfire.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. Except I'm not drinking.
But nothing wrong with that. Either way you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was looking at my videos and just going over some of the comments and looking at the analytics and everything, and we got one of them in tonight. Welper put a comment on one of my videos, and I told him I was going to have to steal this, so I'm gonna have to add this into the videos when I'm doing my garden update. He goes, "Old McGinger has a farm, E-I-E-I-O." Oh shit, Old McGinger instead of Old
Old.
McDonald.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was freaking great.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Um. So, I guess we could do a quick little roll call. I mean, like I said, people still kind of trickling in. We
Yeah.
got Daniel, uh, J. J. Money, Welper, uh, Dwayne Christensen, Doctor Prepper, and so far that's about it. Unless you're texting, if you ain't commenting, I can't see if you're here.
Yeah.
I only see who's commenting. So I really don't have much brought up because, like I said, it was last minute. But if y'all have anything while I'm I'm looking up besides Ohio. I know you were talking about y'all passing that or getting through the Senate anyhow.
Yeah, one half of the General Assembly at this point.
I think homesteading or homeschooling, rather homesteading too, but homeschooling specifically is actually a pretty good idea. You got to get your
Oh,
kids away as far away, especially in like not so much in Texas, but like in other, either purple or blue states where like CRT and I guess critical gender theory or whatever that silliness is, that's actually accepted by the
yeah.
curriculum. You got to be able to yank your kids and teach them yourself, teach them the basics yourself without any kind of agenda being shoved down their throat, except for what you want to teach them. You know what I mean? Like if, for
Well, the
instance, if
worst,
you're devoutly religious, you can homeschool your kids and then also require them to read the Bible or whatever. So
the
Yeah.
worst part is over the past year or so, I've been looking into this stuff, and it's going into red states pretty hard now because it's a bunch of leftist teachers in these major cities that are the ones pushing it hard, and then it trickles out to the rural areas too. And yeah, there was one piece of legislation that they were trying to pass last year that never got through the General Assembly, which really pisses me off because I was fighting for it hard, and it would have basically banned CRT, 1619 Project, and a few other things by name at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And now what they're trying to do is pass some. It would be like a review board or something like that to create K-12 social studies courses. And a bunch of leftists are losing their minds because they're like, this is fucking bullshit. You should totally not be able to do this. And it's like, you mean actually learn American history the right way and not your made up bullshit?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well,
and what's interesting? Go ahead.
I missed a few people on the roll call because my chat was not up to date. We're also joined by Randy Butternums. Still love that name. Mojo. We got Super Bad. What's up, brother? Boob Sweat. Christopher Reed. We got a lot of the usuals. NC Lucky. But Warhammer. Crash and Kev. I just wanted to catch those because I saw them popping in.
Right.
But no, I agree. I've been saying for years now that I wish people would pull their children out of public schools and homeschool them because they would get a better education that way. I mean, because we talked about, if you did like a community, even if like you live in a subdivision, you can still get like neighbors around you who feel the same way as you do. And y'all could take, one day, this parent teaches them science. The next day, this parent teaches them math, and so forth and so on. That way it's becoming a community. Or just do it all yourself if you're able to, because if you're a single parent, then it's going to be harder for you to do it. And if one's not making enough, whatever. But I mean, just teaching them basic stuff is going to be a better education than the school system indoctrination bullcrap. Like right now with me with the garden, how better would that actually be for a child to learn just something simplistic as farming or gardening versus this crap that they're learning in schools? At least with the farming and gardening will be more conducive in the future if say crap hits the fan or whatever, or even if not, it's still a great skill to learn. So I don't know. I feel like just the basics would be much better than this crap they're learning these days.
I mean, there's a lot of things that they could teach if they really wanted to. Like Honda was saying last night on the Rumble chat about taxation. And learning how to do taxes properly.
Hell, you could even teach them how to do their bank account, to manage your checkbook. They're not even being taught that in school, much less like cursive. I mean, it's like all the what would you consider common sense, like us, rational thinkers. It's out the window. Has been for years.
When I was in high school, I took a class called Math of Money, and it was a combination of like it was a combination of accounting and economics, and it was just an elective, but at the same time it was just it taught you some very basic stuff. You know what I mean? Like how to balance your checkbook. You know, what is your net income versus your gross income? You know, what is an expenditure? It you know, it actually fleshed out some concepts, but it also talked about supply and demand and some other stuff like that. Like it basically taught you how to run your internal accounting, but also like if you run a business and stuff like that, you know, that kind of thing. So it was actually a pretty good class. I remember taking that I remember thinking, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I just wish people would wake up sooner to what's going on instead of going by this propaganda. Because I mean, I don't know if I can what to say because I'm on YouTube and I don't want to say too much. But I mean, y'all get what we're getting at. But yes, it would be
yeah.
nice.
I remember in the go ahead.
We'll get back to it in a second. Mojo says garden's looking good, Corey. Appreciate it. It is. I even treated it with some a solution that I made from 1 cup worm castings just to a gallon of water. Let that ferment for about a week or so. That way, all the nutrients would get into the water, and I could go throughout the garden and just pour it on my crops. That way, it'll get all the nutrients down to the roots quicker instead of, say, putting warm castings on the surface or even mix it into the topsoil. By doing that, it just gets everything down to the roots quicker and makes everything. It's already I could already notice a little bit of a difference. That kind of perked up a little bit out there. But it's coming along short. Where it's hard, dang it. It's coming along good. But
I remember taking a civics course in like I think it was the third course. I remember being taught civics in like 3rd or 4th grade and having to memorize the preamble of the Constitution and the first 10 amendments and stuff. They don't teach that anymore, man. You know? And on the topic of homeschooling and stuff, like the Amish have their own kind of self-contained like village schools that teach, you know, Amish curriculum, which is like some very basic stuff. And then like after the 8th grade, you've kind of graduated and then you start to go into like trades and stuff, how to build stuff. You know what I mean? Which that works for them. I mean, Amish and I guess what do you call the other one? The Mennonites.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of that works for them. They're allowed. I mean, they're legally allowed to do that, like up in Ohio and in Pennsylvania and places like that too. So,
yeah,
and a lot
as
of
we found out
Mennonites,
recently, they legally can do propaganda since what was it, 13? I think it was.
Oh, the propaganda law that they.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's legal.
Yeah. Obama struck down the anti-propaganda laws back during his administration. So sometime in there, 2010, 2012, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I feel bad for are these kids that are in these schools right now where there's a lot of fighting going on. Because, again, thanks to Obama, his last few days in office or whatever, he put an executive order in place that said you can't expel these unruly kids anymore. And when I say kids, I mean teenagers and stuff like that usually is what's doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you have like 20, 25 kids in these classrooms that actually want to learn. You got these 4 or 5 jackasses that are just screwing everybody over because they're trying to fight the teacher and everything like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I see that. Some of these kids just need to. Probably shouldn't say it, but
yeah, well, I hear you.
I think you're picking up what I'm putting down very mildly.
Yeah.
But Dwayne Christensen says 2 weeks left until brace ruling goes into effect. Nothing slowing it down. What is everyone going to do? What can you do other than call your state reps and everything to, voice your opposition to it? But not sure that's going to do any good because they're dead set on running it through.
So the brace ruling is it being taken up by the court or is it being heard by the Senate?
I'm not honestly too sure because I thought they were just pushing it through regardless because of the ATF.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't been up to date with it since.
Yeah, the only thing I heard last time was that it was Jim Jordan and them doing that committee hearing in the House about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the last I heard about
it.
Right.
Actually, fun fact: Steve Dettelbeck, before he became ATF director, tried to run for Ohio Attorney General, and we're like, "Fuck no, get the hell out of here," because he's running an anti-gun platform back then in 2018.
Yeah.
And we're like, "No, we'll take Dave Yost, the guy who actually is pro 2A."
Right.
But yeah, let me address the comment real quick. Phoenix, yeah, Matt's good. He's just out with the family tonight. He's got family duty to tend to, so
You
we'll
said
let it
duty.
slide. We'll let it slide. Yeah, let it slide. Duty. He said duty.
Duty.
Yeah, that's a good movie, Wreck-It Ralph. Oh. Daniel says, yeah, but when we switch over to FAG coin in 2 months, you won't need to count your monies. The government will do it for you. Yeah, I know. I wish to God we could get that stopped immediately, because that just terrifies me, because they'll basically have absolute control over your spending. If you buy something they don't agree with, they'll just turn your bank account off.
Yeah, or they'll block the transaction.
Yeah, or if you buy something they don't agree with, they'll be like, "Oh, we're just going to cancel everything for a while and teach you a lesson." So that means no electricity for you, no heat, money to get groceries. We'll just let you simmer and think about what you did while you're sitting in the corner and time out. I could so see them abusing that ever-loving shit out of it. What do y'all think?
So is it going to happen in 2 months, or is it just...
They're talking about it going into effect, I want to say either end of June or some beginning of July.
It's like a slow rollout into banks or something, right?
Yeah, they're going to test it in a couple of banks.
Oh, okay, they're going to test it, right?
But I think it's, some of the bigger banks. I mean, don't take my word for it. Obviously, do your own research on it, but that's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, it'll probably be like Wells Fargo and maybe JP Morgan Chase or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I mean, like, in order for them to fully implement it, there's a lot more banking consolidation that has to happen. Because like a lot of like little credit unions and stuff like that, I mean, I mean, technically they have to comply, but a lot of them aren't going to, like there's so many different little banks that are independently owned and credit unions that are community credit unions and stuff. So, and that's why I think that like some of these banks are collapsing. I think they're collapsing on I wouldn't say on purpose, but I think that the government's actually consolidating them under bigger banks. There's like a big absorption going on.
Yeah.
Controlled demolition.
Yeah, possibly it could be a controlled demolition, or it could be happening organically, and they're just happen to be pouncing on it, because some of these banks that they do screw up. You know what I mean? They invest, they do bad things, and the government's just pouncing on it. But it could be I'm kind of halfway. Either way is bad. It doesn't matter. But
well, I mean, the Silicon Valley Bank's whole go down was because of the ESG stuff.
Right.
How many are we up to now?
It's a bunch. I
know it's like 6 or 7.
It's like every day there's like a bunch of talk about like little smaller ones being absorbed by slightly bigger ones, and then the bigger ones and bigger ones.
I thought we were close to double digits by now.
Maybe,
if not already in double digits.
Yeah.
I don't know. They could also be, not telling us all the ones that are going down.
Yeah.
But Chris Reed says he remembers when he was in middle school and learned some business and marketing. Yeah, it was a different time back then. Even when I was growing up, because, I'm one of the younger ones on the panel. I'm almost 40, but even then, I mean, we learned so much more that would better suit us in the future, not just a bunch of fluff and ball tickling, basically, that has nothing to do with what life is going to be like.
My local high school back then, you had to take I'm trying to think. It was like a basics into 101 for local government stuff to actually graduate. I'm pretty sure they did away with that in like 2012 or 14, somewhere in there.
Well, hell, even my senior year of high school, I graduated from a very small town. My graduating class was 35 at most. I mean, it was very small. And my government economics teacher, she was a hard ass, but I tell you what, she taught you shit that you needed to know, like marketing.
Mm-hmm.
How to fucking balance a checkbook, how to, I mean, of course, I already knew how to do that, but just more stuff like that. Taxes, just various different things that would actually you would need to know as an adult going into the real world instead of going in blindly and like when you some people where they teach their children how to swim, you know, let's throw them in and say sink or swim, that kind of logic. I couldn't imagine growing up in this day and age right now.
Yeah.
I think my head would explode with all the stupidity.
I remember when I was going to the store and I was going to the checkout line. I bought some groceries, and I also bought like a gun magazine, like I think it was like Shooter magazine or Guns and Ammo or something like that. Just to kind of take a look at what was new and stuff like that. And the guy was checking it out, and he was a young guy, maybe just graduated. He's like, "Oh, guns are bad, man." I said, "Who told you that?" Like that, and I was like, he just kind of was quiet and stuff. And I was like, and this was in a small town. This is in small town Texas. So like you said, some of that bullshit, and this was back early 2000s, 2008, something like that. And so maybe you're right. Maybe it is kind of filtering down. I mean, even in the small towns, we're not safe from the mind virus.
There was an interesting one I heard the other day, because I tend to follow Reddit quite a bit just to see the other side, because there's a lot of leftist run subreddits there. And our Columbus is one of the best ones for that. There was some chick who was talking about, I guess there's a couple of suburbs down in Columbus area, like I think it's probably Upper Arlington was what she was referring to, because that's probably one of the richest ones there. And she was saying how a lot of the guys, she took it upon race, which was both white and Asian dudes, tend to fall very hard Republican, but the chick counterparts for those people in that age range tend to fall Democrat. And she was like, I don't understand why all these dudes want to vote Republicans in.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. Dwayne says the Supreme Court passed on the ruling talking about the braces. I wasn't sure. Like I said, I haven't been too up to date with it, so I don't like speaking on stuff that I'm not like 100% sure about. So I figured someone out there was bound to know. So I appreciate you, Dwayne, for posting that. And that's also leads me to an article I did read earlier, and I was going to bring up, but I can't find it now. But it was the Supreme Court is not going to rule on the Illinois assault weapons ban until more litigation happens on it. So doesn't surprise me. They're fucking not going to do their jobs apparently right now.
I mean, what more do they really need for it to be ruled upon at this point?
My thoughts exactly, but apparently they need some more stuff, so they're going to allow a temporary
stay or something on it, probably.
Yeah, stay on it, so effectively the ban's in place for now until they get their head out of their asses. I don't know. It's like, why do we have these people in office that are supposed to be for the people and are not?
Yeah, I think the term we're looking for is injunction, something like that.
Something.
Yeah.
Might be hitting close to the nail. I don't know. Super Bass says, have you seen the video of supposedly be Trump two-way supporters marching on the Capitol? I have not. Have y'all?
I haven't heard anything about that.
Is this recent, or is this upcoming? Super bad? I haven't heard anything about it. You have to post a little more about it. NC Lucky says Duke is probably running a fight in the aliens tonight. Probably so.
Yeah.
He's in his little hidey hole, his foxhole, just camped out for the night.
I can just see Duke's actual alien preparation, like defense pod, where he's got a little turret and he's got an army helmet and some other stuff, and he's like he's got like belts of ammunition over his shoulders, and he's just like, all right.
Yeah, kind of like there's a scene from a show. I want to say it was from that Canadian show I used to watch, Flashpoint. I
Okay.
could be wrong, but this soldier was having, flashbacks and thinking he was back in the war or whatever. So he ended up being at home and dug a foxhole and was hiding in it like he was overseas again.
Yeah.
So, not saying that's going with Duke, but I can see that being, what he's doing with the aliens.
There was
Yeah,
a similar scene to that in a show a few years ago called Corey, or Quarry, like QU.
Oh,
Quarry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quarry.
It was about a dude who came back from Vietnam.
Yeah.
It actually got really good, and then they canceled it after the first season. I was like, damn you people, come on.
Yeah, I hate it when they do that. They put something good out and then they cancel it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason they can come up with. But Daniel says it's already being tested on the East Coast. The full implementation will begin to roll out in 2 months.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Just another nail in the coffin for the country, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the moment they start running into trouble, like when people start, getting declined or whatever for something like that, the lawsuits are going to start rolling in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to get challenged. I mean, there's going to be some pushback. There's always pushback. I mean, this isn't, well, I suppose they can, but like France got some serious pushback to their changes in their pension program. And then of course you got the riots and stuff, but there's always, legal pushback. There's always, protests and physical pushback and some other stuff like that too. So I don't think they're near ready. They're probably testing it maybe, but as far as like the full implementation, there's going to be some. It's not something that you can't just abolish paper money. You know what I mean? No. It's legal. It's legal tender. So
I don't know how they plan on doing it, but
yeah,
it's not good, and it's not a good idea, and it's not going to be good for the country.
Really not.
That's why I've been calling out state senators here locally and been like, get off your ass and legalize gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, you guys already do it there in Texas. So does Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually have our own gold reserve. I don't know how much of it we have left. And I know a few years back, when things started getting kind of bad, I want to say right around the pandemic era, we had actually our gold reserve in a bank in New York. And then I guess when things started getting bad, we started pulling our reserve out and bringing it back to Texas.
Was it that underground bank from Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Maybe. NC Lucky says they had a small engine repair class in high school. They fired the teacher because he didn't have a college degree. Well, that sucks, but not surprising. I know when I was in high school, we had ag class, and I loved it. And we did all kinds of crap. Particularly what I was in it for and what I was doing was welding. And I was helping build onto the ag barn for the different animals for like FFA and whatnot, because I already knew how to weld. Because when I was in high school, I went half a day from 8 to noon. And then the rest of the day I was in college. So I would go to welding class because that's what I was there primarily for. And I was in that class for an hour or two, somewhere about that. And then I would actually go to the college because I was getting my, what do they call it? I'm drawing a blank on what it's called.
Associate's degree?
Yeah, I was getting my associate's degree, but I was doing the other classes to get that out of the way first, academic classes.
Oh, yeah, your prerequisites?
Yeah, the prerequisites. Thank you. I was getting all that out of the way, where it's your math and all the other crap. So
yeah,
I was doing all that crunching. I was hitting the ground hard back then. I had not only was I a full-time student by the time I graduated high school, I was a full-time college student and had 2 full-time jobs because I was I worked for the college. I was basically an assistant teacher. They called it a work study program, but I was the assistant teacher. I taught all the new kids coming in how to weld. I would repair the equipment. I'd clean the shop, keep all the gear stocked, all that, and I'd help the teacher with whatever he needed. And on top of that, I had my little brother who was living with me at the time. So I had my hands full, and I still knocked out a 4.0 for 4 years.
Nice.
So I know I may seem like I'm a dipshit from time to time, but really not.
No, you're all right.
But yeah, but in high school with that ag class and doing welding and everything, I knew more than the teacher. And that was sad because the teacher, he was probably in his 60s or so, and he'd been doing it forever. And he wouldn't let me really do anything but stick welding, arc welding. And I knew how to MIG and TIG. And me and him just started butting heads, and he got to where he wouldn't let me do hardly anything at all. So I was like, fine, you don't want to teach me. I'm just going to come here and do whatever I want then. So I would wear shorts and flip-flops to class because that was a no-no because, the sparks and everything catch you on fire. And I'm welding one day in shorts and flip-flops because I'm a rebel. And one of the pipes that we were welding up top slipped and fell off because another guy wasn't paying attention. And it almost hit my foot. And he got all bent out of shape and sent me to the office. And I told him, I was like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what happened. He's not wanting to actually invest his time, what he's being paid for, to teach me anything, especially when I know more than him at this point. So I just don't care to go back to this class. So they switched me to something else. And I finished the year out. And then,
yeah.
But I mean, at least schools, I don't know if schools still do that or not. Obviously, I've been out for like 20 years or so, 20 plus years. So I don't know what's being taught anymore. I just know what we're being told is taught, like CRT and all that crap.
Yeah. I took a intro to like mechanics and something like that, intro to engine mechanics, something like that. And they talked about the theory behind gas engines and diesel engines and stuff like that. But we actually went hands-on with the little lawnmower engine. And we had to like take it apart, and we stripped it down into its all of its separate components, and we had to put it back in and put it back together and make it work. And we were successful. So, but there was a team of like 4 of us, and we actually worked pretty hard on that. We were legitimately trying to understand how the thing worked. And I think I got like a B+ or something like that. I did okay. You know what I mean? So, and, but lately, like I'm thinking about taking some classes in some sort of mechanical something. Cause I'm always talking about engines and planes and stuff like that. And I think I've caught some sort of bug, you know what I mean? It might be worth taking a basic engine course or a basic avionics course or something like that, just to scratch the itch,
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that actually, is a pretty good idea. I mean, why not do it? If you got the time and, the money to do it.
Right.
You're never too old to learn anything. Like the old saying goes, you learn something new every day, and that's God honest truth.
Yeah.
No matter how old you are or how much experience you may or may not have, you still are capable of learning something new.
Mm.
Welper says the issue is that there is no reason procedurally to have the Supreme Court to step in yet. The argument being made is not their purview yet.
Yeah, it needs to go a little bit higher. Before.
Could they not go ahead and step in anyways?
I think they could, but they would be breaking with like breaking protocol and tradition. Yeah, because they only really step in when like, okay, it's gone up to state court and then federal court and then like circuit court and then Supreme Court. So there's like a chain of command kind of thing that you kind of got to follow. I've seen higher courts step in, or I've seen something on the state level get swatted down by a federal circuit court. But as far as going to the Supreme Court, it's like the Supreme Court is the final say, the last word, and it's like, well, if it hasn't been through that whole rigmarole, if it hasn't been the entire process, then they're not going to touch it, because the process itself often filters out a lot of the riffraff cases and stuff that can be decided decisively by lower courts. So that's why they let the lower courts do their thing. And it happens a lot. It doesn't always happen the way we like it, but it happens a lot.
I know, but it just you would think that they would jump in, especially when it's something like this that is obviously a constitutional right, and this is an infringement. They should just jump in as soon as they get wind of it coming their way, or already is their way,
Right.
But I mean, I don't know how much traction this is going to gain, but have you heard that bill that Lauren Boebert is introducing?
She's been in the news lately, but what specifically are you talking about?
The what do they call it?
Shall not be infringed act.
Yeah, thank you. The Shall Not Be Infringed Act. Yeah, basically would get away or do away with all the illegal bullshit that they ran through.
Yeah, like the NFA and some other stuff.
Well, everything that Biden signed into place in the past couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would love for the NFA to be a part of it, because when I was looking at, and we were talking about it, I think we did on Matterhorn, but yeah, I was hoping that it was in there, but it's not. But I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know how much traction it's going to gain. Great.
I think this is another one of those cases of conservative virtue signaling, because even if it gets out of committee and goes through, even if it gets, say by like a 52-48 vote or whatever, and it goes across the president's desk, he's not going to sign it. Why would he sign something that repeals everything he's done? So, well, but at the same time, politically, she can say, well, look, I tried, I did something,
Well, even if it gets the traction needed and it goes through the House and the Senate and goes to Biden to be signed, if he vetoes it, we have the right to overturn his veto and still push it through.
Of course. But I mean, the last time, and don't get me wrong, call me a pessimist if you want, while it's still possible, of course, obviously. The last time that particular has been taken up was like what, in the 1950s or something like that, or was it? Or I could be wrong, but it's been a long time since we've actually overridden a veto, or had a. Yeah.
You're right. It has been.
You also need the 3/5 votes, which are never going to happen.
Yeah, or something like that. We need a supermajority of some sort. I think it could be. What is it? Is it 3/5 or is it 2/3?
3/5. It'd be like 280 or 300 almost, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anything's possible. But like you already said, I don't think we'd have the votes. It'd be close.
Yeah.
No, you have to flip like 78 Democrats to get it to override.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now, that's a hot button item, is to ban everything. So good luck flipping any of the ones we need.
Right. I personally think that if you're going to reverse course on gun control, it needs to be done one little paper cut at a time, which would be like, okay, the thing about this, okay, you guys know what Chevron deference is, right?
I've heard it talked about. I'm not sure exactly what the actual.
Okay. Chevron deference is like a bureau, an agency that makes a rule or a regulation that has the force of law behind it, even though Congress never ruled. Like, for instance, the ATF, one day saying that braces are legal and the next day saying that they're not legal. That's their exercise of Chevron deference. Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing: the concept of Chevron deference. A lot of bureaus use it. The Bureau of Land Management uses it with regards to managing the land. The Department of the Interior uses it. The Bureau of Indian Affairs uses it, to make regulations without, requiring Congress's specific attention to that matter. But there's lawsuits flying at attacking Chevron deference like on multiple different fronts. Like for instance, the Bureau of Land Management also gets hit with Chevron deference lawsuits because of their something having to do with like animal feed. The Department of Agriculture gets hit with completely and totally unrelated, but Chevron deference as a whole, as a concept, could get shot down any day now because it's taken all kinds of flack.
Mm-hmm.
Not just on the gun control front, but on everything, fish and wildlife, stuff like that. You can't tell me what kind of fish hook I can fish with. You know what I mean? I'm challenging this in court. That has nothing to do with guns. It has nothing to do with arms control or anything like that. But by shooting down, if the Supreme Court rules Chevron deference unconstitutional, that might have a backflow thing where everything that they've passed, everything that every regulation they've made gets struck down. So, and then like another thing would be like, if you're going to attack the NFA, do it one little thingy at a time. Go with suppressors one day, barrel length the next, the next, and then just like chip away at it to where it's like the major components of the NFA are just null and void. You can attack, you can pass a law and it says this law hereby repeals section 2020 of the NFA and something like that, and hereby rewords it thusly, and you know how all that legalese that they use, like is like now the minimum barrel length is now this, and that for a shotgun is now 14 inches, and for a rifle is now 12 or whatever, and it like completely shortens everything up, and you can really dismantle things one piece at a time. You know what I mean? Instead of passing this huge giant legislation that strikes down multiple laws and stuff, just do it one little piece at a time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of like, Daniel saying the simplest way for them to implement it will be to only pay out tax returns in FAG coin.
Right.
And I mean, that's one way they can do it where people will be put against the wall, stuck between a rock and a hard place. I mean, are you going to want your money or are you going to rebel against it? Because the only way you're getting your money is you got to take the Fed coin.
Right.
Whatever they're going to call it. So digital currency.
Yeah, federal digital currency or CBDC.
Yeah, that's what it is. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
It wasn't too important because it's just bullshit. It's not worth remembering.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just at this point, and while I'm concerned about all of this, I'm concerned about us potentially going to a hot war with China, or a hot war with Russia. And I'm concerned about. Are you missing chats? Am I taking up too much time? I see chats changing on the screen there. I mean, I don't mean to cut it.
Yeah,
if you want to,
that one's actually for you.
Okay.
It says that's right. So then you can scratch my itch.
Who is that? I can't even see.
That's Night Prowler.
Oh, that's Night Prowler. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you can scratch my itch, big boy.
Well. A hard pass, but I'm flattered, but no, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, come on, you want to.
Well, he does got that big long ponytail. I don't know.
You wanna Fanta.
No, but yeah, and like okay, we were talking about this, and Matt touched on it the other day about like prepper burnout. Every now and then I just kind of I wouldn't call it becoming black pill, but every now and then I just got to tune out and tune into something different. Like I just learned recently that you can, as an example, and I'm not like trying to change the subject or anything, but like one of the little nuggets that I've learned by tuning out and tuning into something completely off topic was that there's a little thing called black diesel that it's like used motor oil and transmission fluid and a whole bunch of different flammable stuff that you can filter particulates out of it and throw it in an old diesel engine and run it, and it's like free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I recently learned that. I didn't know that shit. And just like it's like it's constantly bad news, and the bad news is outweighing the good news anymore. And I'm just like, whatever's gonna happen, let's fucking get it over with already,
Yeah. All right, Chase it, guys. So we'll see you later. Tara, you have a good evening.
Is that Tara?
Yeah, Jason Gus is her other channel where she does motorcycle videos and whatnot. But Christopher Reed says they're waiting for the appellate court.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, whatever.
You got to give it its full process, man. You got to give everything. Like as slow as it is, the only way to make sure that quality control is like maintained, I guess, and I know this is, doesn't always apply, but the best way to make sure quality control is up to snuff is to make sure the conveyor belt's moving slow.
Mm-hmm.
And if you understand the metaphor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I could actually, this kind of makes sense here, and maybe that's what they're doing. But Welper says, my view on it is the Supreme Court is looking for the best reasoning in the anti-gunners argument, so they can take out the majority of them in one go.
And
maybe.
I got it. Go ahead.
I was just saying maybe. I mean,
I do got to hand it to the Supremes lately. They've been making some rulings that are mostly in the private gun ownership's favor.
And they are. That's why I can see this, being a sound argument of what they're doing. Because why, rule on this one, and then wait and rule on this one, and then wait and rule on that one, when they can just have them lumped together and say, "Fuck you." No, not gonna happen. It shouldn't even get this far, honestly, without with their ruling on with the Bruin decision.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what they're doing. I'm not an expert. Never claimed to be.
Well, the thing is, even if you look at like Bruin or like Heller or something like that, it took a long time to get those up there, and
It did.
Even that was like a major win in a lot of cases because of the fact that you're sitting there with obviously Heller being common use and stuff like that, and then Bruin being where you can carry and when you can carry and all that stuff like that now.
Yeah, and McDonald versus Chicago, where there requires a permit just to own one, or was it McDonald versus Chicago, or McDonald versus Illinois, something like that?
Yeah, a bunch of them like that now.
Yeah.
I don't know. FPC usually drops like a once a week thing of stuff they're fighting anymore, and it's like hard to know exactly what is at any given time because they're fighting a bunch of different lawsuits right now.
Yeah,
they are taking the one out. I know a couple weeks ago they were taking the one out from San Diego where they were trying to do insurance and stuff like that there. Where it was that insurance scam where you had to have like $250,000 in like gun owner's insurance or something like that to be able to own a gun, basically.
Yeah.
And there's a few.
And the whole idea, I was actually thinking about this early. Speaking of gun ownership and constitutionality and stuff like that, do you consider the permitless concealed carry in Florida to be a form of constitutional carry?
No, it's permitless carry, and that's it.
Yeah, it's not true constitutional carry.
Okay.
It's not like we have.
They would have to come. Yeah, good. They have to come back in another legislative session, like in a year or two, and get better people in there to actually have true constitutional carry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
It's even like the same thing with North Carolina when they yanked their bill recently because it was forcing training by like either NRA, USCCA, or like some state training source or something like that, and they just yanked it completely out now. For the year is what it is, and I'm just like, well, okay then, just let Mark Robinson become governor there and do it the right way then.
Right. And I've taken the opposite position because I do believe that like if something is a right, you don't have to ask the government for permission to do it, and that passes muster in Florida. It's like you permitless carry is constitutional because it's a right. You don't have to apply for a permit. Well, okay, that's fine. But I mean, my point is that here's the thing, and this is the argument that I would make, and I know this is going to be a spicy take, but let me unpack it for a second. If you look at the U.S. Constitution, the Second Amendment, we know the reasons behind why guns are a fundamental right to every citizen, right? We got that, right? Yeah. It says to keep and bear. Keep means to own and possess, right? And to bear means to carry.
Right.
Okay, but it doesn't get more specific than that. However, if you look at the Florida Constitution, I think Texas has something similar that requires it to be like in a holster, and it requires that it not be carried in a manner calculated to cause fear or alarm. So it does put a few little caveats on how you can carry.
Like if you pocket carry, it has to either be in a holster or have one of those trigger guard clips on it.
Right.
Like Matt has, but
right.
I mean, you still got a choice between concealed or open.
Right.
Where, yes, I guess you could technically call it a form of it, even though it's not true constitutional carry. it's still giving them a right that is afforded to them by being a citizen, a naturalized citizen of this country. So it's a step in the right direction, but it's not true constitutional carry yet.
Well, it's not as good as our constitutional carry, but like you said, it's a form. My big thing with let me just make this point real quick, and then I'll shut up for a second. Is that when you're exercising a right, you don't need to ask the government's permission to do it. That to me is the barest definition of exercising a natural right. So, anyways, that's all I wanted to say on that.
Here's the question I have. Then hold on, Ohio. I'll let you go next. But
okay,
my question would be: in Florida right now, let's take that off the table about the permitless carry concealed for a minute.
Right.
Before that, in Florida, I know the only time they could open carry, or really even carry, because I think they had permits too, but specifically open carry, was if you're going to or coming from fishing, hunting, or camping.
Right.
You were legally allowed to open carry. Because there's a guy that I'll watch a couple of his videos from time to time called something fisherman. I forget his name. But anyways, he's gotten in hot water and arrested a couple of times, and guns drawn on him for open carrying because he carries a sidearm on him. But he also open carries an AR pistol on slung over his chest, and that's legal. But most people don't realize that or know it. So does that affect that in any way with their new ruling of the permitless carry, but only concealed?
From my understanding, it really doesn't, and that's the problem. And that's exactly why Florida is more of a quote-unquote permitless carry state and only did like a half measure instead of going full, because you can't open carry still.
Right. Well, and again, I think the permitless carry was only for handguns. I think it only affected handguns. I could be wrong, but that's what I had heard.
And that's all he carries. I mean, he doesn't have a rifle. It's it's a pistol by the ATF's classification. Yeah,
so I would say he no longer has to ask the guy. I mean, he shouldn't have to begin with. I mean, you should be able to carry a weapon, on your person without having to ask anybody's permission. Now, the type of carry, whether I agree we should have a choice, and I like having a choice. However, not having to ask the government's permission to me is the bare bones exercising of a constitutional right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I would call permitless carry really of any kind to be, if not constitutional, then certainly on the way to it. What do we got?
I hope so. I hope next legislative that they're able to bring forward a sound version of constitutional carry and get it passed overall.
There's a lot of
DeSantis will do it.
There's a lot of cleanup a lot of states need to do right now. Here in Ohio, we're working on a few things because the way that they scumbagged us on Stand Your Ground, if we can still be civilly lawsuited if we defend ourselves versus a criminal, if they happen to die on our property and their family can sue us still, is what it is. I talked to my state rep about that, and he specifically said they didn't have the votes until they watered it down to include that. And I'm like, how the fuck is that even possible when you have a supermajority and you have a veto override ability?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of rhinos are in this place that are career politicians that don't want to pass this through as it is? So
I personally think that if you have your property fenced in and there's proper signage that says keep out private property, and then I'm not advocating this or anything like that. I am, however, I'd like to express my opinion that the law should be changed to reflect what I'm about to say. Let me put it to you that way. I think that it should be legal for you to, like, if somebody negotiates a fence when there's proper signage, it's the same thing as if they'd kick your door in and come on in. I personally believe that, like, your property, not just your premises, not just your home, but your property needs to be protected. And if somebody wants to violate that, then you know what? They're taking their life into their own hands.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was, before they even passed what they have in the books now, a couple years ago, Ohio was not a good state when it came to anything.
Right.
I mean, we had castle doctrine, but the second you stepped out of your house, like, I could basically have a detached garage, go out to my detached garage, and it wasn't covered underneath that then.
That's dumb.
Yeah, that's when it changed, and it also we were actually, I think, one of the last states, not the last state, to do burden of proof on the state then instead of on the individual.
And like in Texas now, if I could sum it up, to the best of my knowledge, Texas, you have the right to use deadly force to protect your property at nighttime. And I think it's worded like if you have reason to believe that your property would not otherwise be recoverable. In other words, like if you don't stop them now, your property, whatever it is gone in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like if somebody's stealing your car and you live kind of close to the border and you think it might be headed to a Mexican shop, you know, then you can use deadly force to protect your property, you know?
Yeah.
And
a couple of these comments real quick.
Right.
Ghost Shadow is asking, so never enough ammo is just slacking. No, he had a
family time.
Yeah, it's date night.
Well, no, he's spending time with his family. Had some prior engagements to tend to, so I'm just filling in for him. He'll be back tomorrow for pretty sure. But Daniel says, it's funny that Florida has constitutional carry, air quotes, but they have a waiting period to buy a gun. Yeah, it does seem kind of.
They also still have red flag laws on the books. So does Indiana, who's a constitutional carry state.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. The contradictions coming out of Florida are pretty thick because they seem like they're pro-gun on one hand, but then they're like, oh, my red flag laws. And I'm like, that's some bullshit that needs to go away. Mm-hmm. It's like, unless I'm convicted of a felony, and one can even argue the merits of that. I mean, I've heard Matt say that, like, once you're a free person, you should be able to buy a weapon, period, you know. But I mean, like, you know, unless I'm convicted of a felony and then incarcerated, you can't touch my guns. You can't just take them and say, oh, we're going to deprive you of your legally owned property until we figure out what's going on. No, you can't do that. You know what I mean? That falls under a little topic that I would like to talk to you guys about, which happens to be one of my pet peeves, which is civil asset forfeiture. If you come under criminal investigation and they seize your assets, the moment you are found not guilty or the investigation is dismissed or something and you're a free person, they should give you your property back, whether it's money, whether it's your car, your house, whatever they seized, like that same day, like within 24 hours. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or you could say without delay. In other words, like, okay, as soon as we can process the paperwork, you can go back and take your property back. But the idea that you have to sue the government to get property back that's not theirs, that's a form of theft.
Oh, it is.
You know what I mean?
All it is.
You know?
100%, that's what it is. And what do they get to do when they sell it? They just keep the
proceeds,
value of whatever it is for themselves. They don't give it to you. They just put it in their pocketbook, so to speak.
Right. That's unlawful as hell. It's like if you're found not guilty of whatever crime it is you're charged with, then that whatever property that was involved that was seized during the course of the investigation, that's your property again. You were found not guilty. In other words, you didn't do anything wrong. So therefore, you should be allowed to continue your life as if nothing ever happened. You know? Yeah.
Dwayne says, I'm gonna get to this comment real quick. Dwayne says that he, talking about Matt, Never Enough Ammo, said that he might have a late night chat. Yeah, I guess it would depend on how late everything transpires and takes place. So he may, but I doubt it because he's having family time. But back to what we were saying.
Yeah, the red flag law is like you haven't been convicted of anything. You're not being charged with anything. If you're being charged with a crime and the firearm is somehow evidence or something like that, say you assaulted somebody or something like that, and the weapon, then they can take it, pending the investigation. But unless you're being outright charged with a crime, they shouldn't be allowed to take nothing.
That's why I don't understand how anyone's seriously trying to pass or has passed red flag laws, because that is literally charging you with a crime and you don't even know about it. You know, if someone calls red flag on you or whatever, they go behind your back, they go to the judge, they get it approved, then they come and take your stuff, and that's when you finally figure out something's going wrong. But it's without due process. You're not allowed to face your accusers or anything.
Right.
So they're just curtailing the laws, and that's so fucking unconstitutional in my opinion.
Well, it's not only just a violation of the 14th Amendment, it's a violation of almost the entire Bill of Rights too. On top of that,
exactly.
Yeah. The moment they take, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When you're breaking 8 or 9 constitutional amendments, like that right there should throw it out the window.
Yeah.
And the only reason that it hasn't, and you look at Florida specifically as a great testing ground for this one, almost everyone that's been hit with it is so poor, they're having to literally defend themselves in court, because when you're charged with red flag laws, it becomes a civil case instead of a criminal one. So you don't get a public defender. You're either defending yourself or you're hiring a lawyer out of your pocket. And that's why it hasn't been taken up to the Supreme Court or any other court for that matter yet.
Right. So you're not given full due process.
No. You never are.
No.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's there in black and white bold letters, but obviously they don't give two shits about it. I mean, I don't know what to think anymore, man.
The thing about red flag laws too is that every state since I believe it's at least the 1970s has had Baker Acts on the books right now. And that right there is what should be used. If you think somebody is seriously a danger to themselves or others, Baker Act them for 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take
what is the
guns.
Baker Act?
It's basically declaring someone insane for like a couple days for psych hold reasons and stuff like that. It's like a semi-tower psych hold.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They can have in there
It's called the Baker Act because it started in California back in like the late 60s, early 70s, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then it basically, like most things back then, just caught fire. It's like the same exact thing why so many state houses you can't carry guns inside of them now, because some jackass in California was like, oh, well, a bunch of Black Panthers walked in here with shotguns and hand them over to the cops, and now we got to ban all these now.
That was Ronald Reagan that did that. That was good old Ronald Reagan.
I thought it was actually somebody else that was in the California state house at the time that was just some jackass.
Oh, Ronald Reagan signed that gun control law banning open carry of weapons in California because of the Black Panthers when he was governor of California.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is it was somebody else that was like a state rep or senator or whatever that was the one that was all against it and shit.
Right.
And then it caught fire across the country like most of the time back then.
Yeah, most of the houses don't play around with that anymore. You slightly break the rules and they're on your ass like flies on shit. Although I did have an experience. I had to go to my local courthouse today. Jury duty reasons, bullshit. And before I went in there, I made sure to take everything off of me that is quote unquote a no-no. And I walk up inside of it and I'm starting to go through the line and I'm just doing like another pat down just to make sure. And I'd be a son of a bitch. I forgot my multi-tool that I keep on my belt. Kind of left backside about 7 o'clock. And I was like, crap, I forgot about my multi-tool. And the guy goes, okay, does it have, any knives or anything on it? I was like, well, yeah, it's a multi-tool. He's like, well, you can't have it in here. I was like, okay, I'll just run it back out to my car. I just full and well thought they were going to, be dicks about it.
Yeah.
But so I was like, well, as I'm walking up the door, I was like, I could just leave it up here with you if you wouldn't mind holding it until I'm done with my business. And they're like, no, you can't have it in the building at all. We're not allowed to hold on to anything. So I went out there and put it back in, and there was only 2 guys up front. And so I go put it in my car, come back in, and out, magically they multiplied. It's like, crap.
Yeah.
Am I gonna have to do the splits against the wall and get patted down or taken and strip searched or some shit? 'Cause, they just multiplied really quick. But no, they were cool. And the new people that came in there, I was trying to strike up a conversation. They weren't having it. I was like, y'all just amend a few words, huh? So then I left, came back and brought back some more paperwork they needed. And then they remembered me, and he decided to start talking to me. And he started talking to me about how he bought a new SIG 365 XL, and that got his mouth running.
I used to work security at the courthouse down in San Antonio, and what we used to do, and this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
What we used to do is we would take their knife or whatever it was and put it in a baggie, and we'd have each baggie had two little like lotto tickets on it, and the tickets had the same number on them. So we would put one in the bag and give them one, and then they presented a matching ticket to us to claim their item, and we would give it back to them. The problem is a lot of times they would give us like a knife or a custom knife, something of like particular value, like a couple $100 or something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the officers got in deep trouble because they couldn't find it. And, you know, it was a private security firm that was doing that. And then the couple of the officers got fired. The accusation was that they stole it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess that's good that they weren't holding on to it, because, you know, it could come up missing and it's their word against mine.
Right.
But I mean, they were, you know, cool as shit. So it was a good experience. But I just was watching them. And even when I came back the second time and dropped off the paperwork that I got the first time, I came in and it was the same three. It was these three guys that were from the first time. I went down to the office, took care of my business, came back out, and they multiplied again. By that time, there's like 6 of them. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
I'm about to get surrounded.
Yeah.
They were cool.
And one time I went with a friend to the courthouse to, I guess she was there to deliver some papers or something like that. It didn't take us very long, right? And there was a security guard station in front, right? And then there was like a trash can there, and I remembered that I had my pocket knife, and I said, uh-oh, I'm not gonna be able to take this in. So I said, I'll just drop it here. And I put it like right near the trash can or something, like kind of sort of hidden out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I just walked in and I came out and there was a cop standing there and my knife was gone. So, and I was like, well, I liked that knife. It was a $20 knife, you know, whatever. But I mean, it's one of those gas station knives.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked it because, you know, it was a 3-inch blade. It was nothing illegal or anything like that. But like, I guess somebody on camera saw me stash something and they're like, what is this? Is this drugs? Is this, you know, something? And I was like, you know, and nobody on my way out, nobody said anything. They just, and I was like, well, I guess it's gone, you know.
I kind of had that happen too. It was about 10 years ago. Went inside a courthouse and I forgot my pocket knife.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stuck it in my boot underneath my foot.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
But I guess that kind of goes with what Ghost Shadow was saying. In Alaska, items that get into possession of the state troopers are likely to vanish or turn up in pawn shops.
Yeah.
That kind of fits in right with what we were saying. So.
Right.
And I don't doubt it. You know, I've told stories before about law enforcement here, you know, probably 10 years ago or so, that if people got pulled over with anything on them that they shouldn't have had, only part of it actually went into evidence. The other part was kept.
Right.
So, I don't know. There's shady cops everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the good ones are few far in between now. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
And even in that respect, if they allow the bad ones to get away with their bad activities, that, you know, makes them just as guilty and bad themselves. Yeah.
I've always said that, like, there are good cops who don't actually do anything to abuse the people, but they also know, and I know this for a fact, that there's a lot of officers who see bad officers doing bad things and they don't say anything. You know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm. Dwayne says right now, if they lose it before your ruling, you're out of luck. And I guess that goes with what we were just saying too. And I think he's referring to having your stuff confiscated through the red flag laws and stuff.
Right. I would say get a receipt I mean, I know that when property is seized, they're supposed to give you paperwork on it.
Keyword
And it's like, yeah, keyword supposed to. But like, and it's like, at that point, if you go to reclaim your property, if you're adjudicated not guilty or found whatever like that, and they don't have it, then I'm like, okay, everybody who had custody of it is hereby charged with theft. I mean, like, get a lawyer and like, you know.
Welper says, I got snagged at a hospital for having a tiny, like 1.5-inch long pocket knife. What are you going to do with that? Yeah, and even when I had to take everything off, they're like, oh, you have to take your sunglasses off and your hat. And I'm thinking, okay, I understand the hat a little bit, make sure there's nothing hiding underneath it, but sunglasses, like, what am I going to hide on my sunglasses? Mm-hmm. And afterwards, I got to thinking, and there's, you know, that movie, American Assassin, that has.
I'm aware of it, but I've never seen it.
I'm drawing a blank on the kid's name. He played on Teen Wolf. Dylan O'Brien. It starred him and Taylor Kitsch. Okay. And Michael Keaton. And there was a scene where he had his sunglasses on, and when the guy told him to take them off so they could do a pat down and everything, he wanted the sunglasses, but on the right frame, he pulled off this little tiny, it was probably maybe 2 to 2.5 inch long, tiny little blade. Mm-hmm. That was just as thick as the ear portion that goes around your ear. So as he took off his glasses, he slid that off, you know, very carefully, and handed him the glasses, and then put his hands up, and he later used it, I guess. But I mean, that's like put in way too much thought and effort to try to skirt the law, and it's just like, why even go to that trouble?
Yeah. Well, I mean, pen knives exist, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I can understand keeping everybody safe, but to me, they just go overboard with it.
Yeah.
But let me get to these other comments real quick. Ghost Shadow says, courthouse I've had to go to, they have lockup that they can store pocket knives, multi-tools. Then you can recover it when you leave. May have to wait if they're busy.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Well, different courthouses have different policies. Like I said, once upon a time, we could hold it at the front desk, and you know, they could come back and claim it and stuff like that. But it all depends on the individual state law and the court policy and stuff. Some people just don't want to deal with it. They're like, you got to take it back out to your car. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
I don't know. I personally, I'd rather just walk it back out.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be safe.
Right, exactly.
That's it. But there was a comment that I saw a while ago that I wanted to address, and now I don't see it. Had to do with what we were talking about. Oh, done lost Ohio. Having internet problems, most likely. I don't know. I can't find that comment. But Ghost Shadow says, in 12 months, the Matsu Division state troopers, 30 officers, misplaced over 700 firearms and over 300 pounds of drugs. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, quote, misplaced. Yeah.
Right.
I'm doing the quotey fingers in the air too.
Yeah, you know what they did. You know, it's like they did in Katrina, but not as, you know, horrible. Because what they did in Katrina was just downright horrible, and it should have been crimes against humanity or whatever. Because they were going door to door, stealing whatever the hell they wanted, under the guise of, we're here to protect you.
Yeah, sorry. It's like, you know, just don't answer your door. I mean, you know. You know how I feel about police officers who commit felonies in uniform while on duty. You know, I think I've made that clear.
Yeah, I'd rather not get into that here.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah, but
what we talked about. Maybe if we were on Rumble.
Yeah.
You know. But I don't. Yeah.
I understand. Suffice it to say that, like, if you unlawfully enter someone's home and take their property, that's a felony. You know what I mean?
Are you there, Ohio?
I saw two of them just a second ago.
Yeah, he popped in here. I don't know which one he is. Are you there?
Okay. I heard him a second ago.
I don't know. Anyways, he's probably just having difficulties. But I mean, how do you misplace over 700 firearms and 300 pounds of drugs? Like, somebody was making some money.
Yeah, no kidding.
Christ. How come we've never heard of this? I don't remember hearing about this.
Yeah. I think that every police officer should carry a body cam, and everything that they do when they walk, from the moment they walk into the police station to the moment they walk out, should be on camera, including interrogating suspects, interviewing witnesses, anything and everything. And the whole thing needs to be on camera and documented every which way.
I 100% agree. I think every cop should have a body camera no matter what. And it should be at least a misdemeanor, if not a felony, to turn off your body camera or mute your body camera whenever you make contact with the public, especially if it's in an interaction with, like, you pull somebody over or you're just responding to, like, a house call or business or whatever. You should have that sucker running continuously, uninterrupted. Otherwise, you face heavy legal penalties, because that's, to me, is tampering with evidence.
Right. And go ahead.
Is it not tampering?
Oh, absolutely. It could be potentially withholding evidence or something like that, And Ohio, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back. But, like, I saw some police officers, I think it was like Philadelphia or Chicago or someplace, during the George Floyd riots, where, the police officers, of course, no big fan of the George Floyd riots of the Summer of Love, but I'm also not a fan of the way the police reacted in some cases. And I think that if you cover your badge number or you cover your body cam, it's like, go home. You know what I mean? If I'm a supervisor, I'm like, go home. You're dismissed for the day, without pay or whatever, It's like, and if you do, it's like you should be fired. Even if you haven't done anything wrong, even if you're just, like, covering up your badge number just because, you know what I mean? It's like you're terminated. You know what I mean? And make it known. And the thing about, when it comes to the abuse of authority and stuff like that, the penalty has to be stiff. Otherwise, they're going to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
They did the same thing in Oregon. When Antifa was attacking that courthouse, they all had their badges covered because Antifa was trying to dox all of them, is what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that one video from then, where they had that weird little setup inside the courthouse, and it was some Antifa guys were, like, knocking on the door or whatever, and then you just see, like, it turned into a meme of just, like, Benihana kind of stuff or whatever.
What?
Or what is that one called? Where the cops were all running around chasing the dudes and stuff.
Oh, Benny Hill?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Benihana. Benihana's a restaurant.
Yeah. I was like, sorry, it's after midnight. My mind's kind of phasing out here. But yeah. So yeah, it was Benny Hill kind of thing or whatever, where you just have, like, a whole bunch of federal cops start running out there and, like, chasing them down then.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, Benihana. Yeah.
Oh.
But like, if the police make a valid arrest, like, does they catch somebody in the act of committing a crime and you get it on body cam and they use the appropriate amount of force, you inform you're under arrest, turn around, but or whatever like that, and then they start to, like, fight you and whatever. Okay, by all means,
Yeah.
But it's like, from start to finish, have their first encounter, and then their combativeness, and then your attempt to make an arrest, and then their everything step by step needs to be on camera. But the good news is that, like, if somebody has legitimately committed a crime and you get the whole thing on camera, it's going to stick.
Because the best thing about cameras is they are an objective witness.
Right.
It doesn't lie. So, and it protects not only yourself from false allegations, but it protects you protects the other person from
Abuse.
Abuse, false allegations. If anything happens, it's all caught on camera.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Hold on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What Ohio was saying a while ago about people the cops covering up their nameplates in the Summer of Love. I think that's stupid because their identities are public records anyways.
Right.
You can easily look up the department and see who all is, who works there, their name, badge number. You could go do a FOIA request and get even more information. So to me, just the fact of covering your nameplate up is just childish.
Well, the thing was with the Oregon version of that, they were all in full riot gear with like helmets and shit, so you couldn't actually tell what they looked like.
Yeah. I saw some footage from the Summer of Love where a San Antonio police officer there was a guy sitting on the curb and he was like smoking a cigarette and he had like he was just watching the police kind of, and this one officer kind of peels off from the formation and starts shooting him with the beanbag rounds. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Whoa, I'm just standing here, dude. I'm not hurting you." And the dude just kept on shooting him. And it was like leaving like blood. It was like drawing like blood and leaving red marks on his skin. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm thinking to myself, you need to identify that officer immediately and take it from there.
Yeah.
And there was unrelated to the George Floyd riots, there was a case where there was a woman she was being unruly and she was drunk and she was giving the officer a hard time. And so he was going to interview her or interrogate her, right? And first of all, there should have been a female officer there. That's just, for everyone's safety, and then the officer, when he was interrogating her, she was getting difficult and he turned the camera off. And the next thing you know, she's lying on her, like in a pool of her own blood with whelps on her eyes, like that. And it's like, gee, I wonder what happened there.
Would have been nice to have a video of it.
Right. Yeah, sure. It sure would have been nice to. And so they investigated themselves and found that they did nothing wrong.
Well, of course, the only way you may get, any kind of proper justice is have outside entity doing the investigation and not allow themselves to investigate themselves, because they're always going to find themselves innocent of everything, no matter what the hell it is. But let me get to a couple of these super chats real quick. Ghost Shadow says the head of state troopers claims rodents ate the drugs, no logbooks, video or duty officer to monitor the evidence room. Bullshit.
Rodents.
Rodents ate the drugs.
Wow.
Was there a vast amount of dead rodents?
Yeah.
They're not going to eat 300 pounds of drugs. I'm sorry.
I don't trust that. I don't trust that at all. Come on now.
No, it doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah.
Now, maybe if you had that on the streets of Baltimore with the amount of rodents they've got there,
I
might be able to see, the dog ate
Baltimore.
But no, I don't buy that. Welper says we know about things like that. It's why nobody wants to carry their $15,000 gun for EDC. Yeah. That's why. Carry something that's roughly inexpensive. So if something happens to it, you're not taking a big hit. That's I couldn't imagine carrying like a Korth or a Manhurin, because that's like most people. That's like what 6 months of rent, or at least a couple months of rent, depending on where you live. Jesus,
I'm of the belief that like you should keep it under 500 if you're going to be carrying it. You know?
I was reading a comment. The Smoke said Alex Jones exposed Governor Abbott send the Texan National Guard to help process illegals and help them, not the other way around. Governor Abbott is WEF. I don't know.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, the National Guard's been blocking access, putting up barbed wire, razor wire, and stuff on the popular known crossings. But and I also heard that Florida, Ron DeSantis is sending 1,100 Florida law enforcement to Texas borders, as well as equipment. Like I think there was like 11 amphibian vehicles that they were sending, so boats. I don't know when that was supposed to happen. I think it was coming like in the next few days, and this was yesterday or day before yesterday when I saw the article. So I don't know, and it was different. It was different branches. It wasn't all just quote unquote law enforcement. There were some, local law enforcement. There were state troopers, and so many National Guard, Florida National Guard that they were sending our way. They didn't specify whether it is to help secure our borders or to help facilitate an easier access for these illegals to come in. The article didn't specify. My hope is to help stop it.
Yeah. Abbott, as much as I want to like Governor Abbott, he has his toes in the deep state. He's some of the things he's done has been very much establishment politics. Every now and then you think, oh, well, he's breaking ranks. And then it's like, no, this guy's been in politics for so long. He knows how the game is played. And he doesn't want to. One of the things is that I support, generally speaking, the Texas nationalist movement, which is a legitimate political movement inside the Texas Republican Party, right? And he won't even talk about it. He won't even, like Governor Abbott won't even talk about it because he believes that it might ruin any chances he might have for running for president. You know what I mean?
I don't think he would make a good president. I mean, he's making a pretty good, decent
governor. Yeah,
governor. I mean, he could do a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't see him doing very well as president.
Daniel Miller for president of Texas. Just saying. No. Like I said, I want to like him, but he could be a lot firmer on he could take a lot harder stance. You know what I mean?
No, I concur. Calhoun Republic says, just got here, had coyotes outside, so I went next door to check on my mom and see if I could get or see any coyotes and put 762 in them. They left real quick. Well, of course you did. Of course they did. You scared them off.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think he said down the road that he didn't put any down.
Right.
So that's one thing when I used to live in the country before I moved into the city years ago, we had a bad, pack of wild coyotes around the around the area. And I was always on alert. There's a couple times that I came close to having to dispatch a couple coyotes.
Mm.
I was at a friend's house across the street, and we were out, barbecuing, just having a get together, bonfire. And it was starting to just get dark, but it was still light enough to see pretty well. So it's just, dusk area.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw a couple of them and heard them. They were getting close, and they were trying to track my neighbor's dogs that were out in the yard. So me and my buddy had to run through the thicket of the grass and see if we could chase them out or get close enough to where we could dispatch them. And I stopped at one point because I lost sight of where he was. And I'd be damned if I'm going to be an idiot and get in front of someone else's line of fire when I can't see them.
Right.
So I backed off and started slowly backtracking a little bit. So if he was to shoot, I wasn't in the way. Homie, don't play that. Mama didn't raise
right.
me. But now you city boys ain't got to really worry about that too much. You damn city boys. Ghost Shadow says, well, after eating the drugs and they got the munchies and ate the guns, actually the rodents all wore badges.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
The rodents just they had the super strength from the cocaine that they just ate, and they dragged the guns off.
Yeah, they devoured the metal and everything.
No, the rodents, they stole the guns. They dragged them into their mouse hole and
yeah, it was probably Shredder.
Yeah,
drug them off and armed the turtles.
Splinter. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant Splinter. Sorry.
Yeah.
I knew what I was thinking Splinter, but Shredder came out. You knew what I was thinking, but yeah, Splinter,
yeah.
Before
Splinter
they were actually turned into, what they are now.
Yeah.
Back when he was still a rodent and they were still baby turtles. He was starting to drag them off, and he was stockpiling.
Yeah, he's Splinter is a prepper. That's what happened.
Exactly.
Splinter went and snorted the 300 pounds of drugs and was Cocaine Rat. Became Cocaine Rat.
Exactly.
And got super strong and just started, dragging the 357s and the 9mm into his mouse hole.
Yeah, right. Oh my god, that I could just see it now. That would make a pretty good off spin of the Turtles.
Yeah.
Master Splinter, the coked out prepper.
Cocaine Rat would be the sequel to Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Where it's in Baltimore, right? It takes place in Baltimore, and he snorts a bunch of cocaine and drags a bunch of firearms, confiscated firearms out, and goes on a wrecking crew spree.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I because when we were talking about buying a large portion of land and getting certain families, and making kind of like a little community and living like, how we would like to, free of work, working for the man.
Right.
Because you still have to work to maintain and keep what you want and have. But that's something I've actually been thinking for a long time, and wish I had the means to do it, because like even now, there's several parcels of land around me. One is I think 150 acres, and the other one was like 120 acres.
Mm-hmm.
The 150 was like 2.2 mil, and the 120 was like 1.6 or 1.8 mil.
Right.
And I would love to get something, big parcel of land like that, and build a house like right in the middle of all the trees.
Right.
And that I have different water sources on the property. I would do a big portion of land as a big ass garden where I grew everything.
Right.
Under that is fruits and vegetables and whatnot. Then I would also have, cattle. That way I could raise my own beef and butcher a cow when I need beef. I'd have goats where I could butcher goats if I wanted, chickens. And I'd have different things like that, rabbits. And then I could grow like tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
And just, do all that and just store it and prep it. And have, just build up prep items that way, because you just never know what we take for granted now that will be valuable in a shit hit the fan scenario.
Right.
So I've gone through all kinds of scenarios over the years about what I would like to do. I even had some friends before we talked about actually doing that, and talked about doing what we call mamping, which is like, man camping, where we got like a group of men and just went out and roughed it.
Yeah.
And the girls ended up calling it glamping, where they would take, all the known amenities that we're used to camping. I'm like, no, that's retarded. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about like getting our kayaks and just finding like a good canal or something, or a good river and or creek, and just ride it down for so long, and then pull over on the banks and set up tents, and then go out and get firewood and see what kind of critters we could hunt down, or have fishing rods where we could fish the water for fish.
Right.
Live off the land for like, a couple days to a week. So this is something that's been in my mind frame for years upon years, several decades. So
setting up a self-contained, like community that's kind of off the grid, or off the beat, at the very least off the beaten path, because I believe that, like, if I were to participate in something like that, I would probably keep a job and participate on my days off, like, you know, help people out here and there and do mutual chores and stuff like that. But like, you know, having a fallback point, like to be like a tiny house community or something like that, where everybody's just kind of, where everybody knows their neighbors and people, like I said, gather around a campfire on the days off and play the guitar and drink cold beer or whatever it is. But being able to kind of close yourself off and have everybody be on guard and everybody mutually understand that, hey, look, shit's getting rid up rough here. You know, the grade's down or something like that. Let's all kind of let's execute, you know, plan A or whatever, you know, where everybody's watching out for each other, that kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, because you would have you know, trusted people there in your little community, and you work together. And the whole point of having, you know, that large amount of acres, especially in my mind, with growing all this fruits and vegetables and everything, is eventually you're going to be at a certain point where you have more than enough. And I'm talking about, you have like cold cellars where you're stocked up for 6 months to a year because you're canning everything. Mm-hmm. So what the majority of what you have left over that you literally can't use yourself, you could take it to your closest town and sell it for, you know, money that you could use to expand.
Buy more stuff.
Yeah, buy more stuff, expand your community, whether it means raising another pole barn for cattle, or building a new house, or smokehouse, or just whatever.
Right.
And I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't have to start out huge. I mean, you don't have to start out with $100,000. You can start out with just a small patch of land. Like if you got 5 people, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got, say, 15 acres, that leaves 2 acres worth of gardening per family. And like, that right there, I mean, if everybody has a job and does the gardening thing part-time and stuff like that, that could just be extra. So next thing you know, you've got a few $1,000 left over saved. You can buy in another 5 acres, you know, so now you got 20. And it's like, over time, you could really expand to where, you know, before you leave this earth, you have 100 acres to leave to your kids, or you know, that kind of thing. Not you personally have 100 acres, but the entire community has 100 acres, and then the next generation's coming up.
Right.
You know, and so, and if they keep doing that, it's kind of rare for generations to pick up the mantle the way. I wouldn't say it's rare. It's rare anymore. It used to not be. But, you know, the next generation comes up and they've got 100 acres. And before they leave, you know, this earth, then they've got 250, 300 acres. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And in, you know, under best case scenario, and they're completely self-sustaining. You know what I mean? That's how the settlers used to do it when they first, you know, came here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I've, you know, since having, you know, since I've been gardening and everything, I've looked up, you know, a lot of videos and a lot of different how to, you know, like basically what other people have been doing. Mm-hmm. And that's where I actually came across and learned the 3 sisters technique.
Right.
With corn, the green beans, and the squash. Because when you plant your corn, you plant your green beans with it. That way, as the corn grows, the beans have something that they can attach to and grow with. And your squash will give everything shade, and your green beans produce nitrogen as they grow.
Right.
And so it'll give the nitrogen to the corn, and it'll give the nitrogen to the squash, and they all just work in harmony with one another. If you watch, you know, because I have 2, for the ones that don't know, which I'm pretty sure everyone here does know, I have 2 videos out of updates on my garden, and you can see how well everything's already exploded. And I've only had it planted, I want to say maybe a month and a half. Mm-hmm. And just that little garden where I have those 3 things in particular just have exploded. I've already harvested 8 I've already harvested 8 squash in just the past couple of days.
Right.
And I've got more coming. I mean,
And the thing about it is that that's an ancient technique that goes back to like the Native Americans. They figured that those 3 plants planted in tandem can grow in perpetuity without needing tons and tons of fertilizer, because like I said, it nitrogenizes the soil.
Yep.
And so I mean, you like if you do have fertilizer needs or whatever like that, it would be minimal. You know, and so
when I first plant everything, I use organic fertilizer, which has, like bone meal in it, blood meal and stuff like that in it. That's all, natural. It's not chemicals and everything. And I'll dig a hole and I'll dig it so far down, and then I'll bury the fertilizer. And then on top, I'll do either seeds or if I buy a plant from the nursery, I'll plant it to where as the plant grows and roots out and the water soaks up the fertilizer deep down, it meets the roots and not, because certain fertilizers can burn your roots.
Right.
And it'll kill your plant.
Like chicken manure and stuff.
Yeah, that has the potential of doing it too.
Yeah.
So the way have been doing it seems to work for me. And like I said, I don't know if I said it in my video or when if I said it even live, but I did 4 gallons of water. And each gallon, I did a cup of worm castings, which is just worm poop. And I mixed it in with a gallon of water and I let it set for a week. So it would soak up all the nutrients and stuff out of the worm castings. And I just, this morning, put it all in the main garden, the big garden. And I did a couple in the little garden too, like the ones on the south end of the garden where they're shorter, just to help give it a little boost. That's as far as I do. I don't use any, chemicals. I do it all natural,
right.
I can. I may lose stuff, I may not, but it's always a learning curve.
Right.
And even this evening, after watering it this morning of that solution, I already noticed a difference.
Right.
They perked up even more and just looking better. So, let me get some of these comments real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Dwayne says, have you seen that video going around showing an officer trying to detain this guy? The guy won't take his right hand out of his pocket. Officer pulls on him. Guy whips out a machete. I've seen several like that. I probably have seen that one. But not really striking a
it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell for me. But it doesn't surprise me. These criminals are stupid. No one's ever claimed them to be smart.
Yeah.
I saw a couple comments like this right here. I thought was kind of funny. That's for you, Ohio.
No, I'm just falling asleep.
Yeah, we can hear you kind of breathing a little bit, which
I can hear you.
Kind of funny.
No, I was actually doing some Twitter stuff too.
All this talk about gardening and composting is kind of getting them a little in the mood, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Daniel says, I think Ohio is planting the seed live on the chat.
No, I was actually looking up the story I just dropped in the back chat.
Hey, if gardening is your thing, man, then hey, let your freak flag fly.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm joking with you, of course.
I actually really enjoy, gardening. And I know, it's not really, like most men don't really do it.
Right.
Back in the day, you would. I mean, the whole family got in on it. But I find it, relaxing, and it's kind of like my version of Matt's Geek Chat.
Right.
It's something that I can do that gets my mind off all the, the crazy PS that's floating around.
Right.
So
it's your tune out. It's when you're tuning out of all the bad news and you're tuning into something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm into like some of the things you're talking about, like agriculture and stuff. I mean, I've never done it, but I have some basic knowledge of how it's done. I'm into all of the stuff that you can do from naturally sourced. And another thing that nitrogenizes the soil are certain breeds of bamboo.
Yeah.
they will release nitrogen into the soil as they grow. And bamboo, of course, as we know, can be dried out and used for like construction materials. You can make furniture out of it, and you can do stuff with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned recently that like you can take a regular pine tree, right, and you can, you know, strip the bark off of it and stuff like that and turn that into mulch. But the pine sap also has like, you know, is also flammable. You can distill the pine sap into 1 part turpentine and then like 1 part what they call pine glue. You can just like filter it and make a pine glue out of it, which is like a naturally occurring rubber, like a naturally occurring adhesive. You can grind it into the wood into dust, remix it with the pine glue that's left over, and press it into logs of any shape and size that you need to, and use those for, depending on how fine the granules are, you can shape those into like construction grade, like you can build a house out of it, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that's why I love learning more about this kind of stuff, because
right.
Pine sap, you know, you can use it to put over a wound, and it got antibacterial properties in it. It'll keep it from getting infected. And
and it stops, you know, it can stop. Yeah, it's like a bandage or a band-aid because it seals it up.
It's like almost like glue. It closes it up.
Exactly. And and turpentine will run in a regular gasoline engine. It won't run particularly clean, but it'll run. You know what I mean? So we have, and I was in a chat. What the hell is his name? I forgot his name. Elm Street. I think his name's Elm Street something or other. And we were talking about how there should really be no real fuel shortages. We have fuel everywhere. We could cut down trees and squeeze the sap out of them and make gasoline out of it, or turpentine. We can, you know, like we were talking about canola oil and soybean oil, or soy and canola, and how it's maybe bad for you to consume, but you can press the oil out of it, like get about 70-80% oil yield out of it. Take the dried cakes, use them as animal feed. That way you're not directly ingesting it. And then take the oil and refine it into biodiesel. You know, or if your engine is old enough, you can just pour it right into the tank as vegetable oil, and it'll run. You know what I mean? And how people are taking this old used motor oil, they're filtering the particulates out of it through a 5-micron filter, and it's got transmission fluid and all sorts of crap like brake fluid, anything that'll combust. And it's just left over.
I've actually seen videos here lately to where there was this guy using a funnel and pouring that stuff into his gas tank and running his vehicle off of it.
Right.
And getting better gas mileage than he would with gas.
Right. It's what they call it scrap fuel or junk diesel.
Yeah.
You know, depending on, you know, who you ask. It's scrap. I've heard it called scrap fuel, which is just, it's leftover scraps of this or that, and it's, you know, and you know, it's getting to the point now. I mean, there should be no real fuel shortages. You know, they have multi-fuel engines that will that will run on anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why the hell not? I mean, it may not be particularly fast, you know what I mean? But if you need to get somewhere, you know.
But like if the only reason you have a vehicle, let's say to get you back and forth to work, and your work is, you know, within an hour of your house.
Right.
Most people work 30 minutes to an hour away from home.
Right.
If you had a vehicle like that, and let's say it did a top speed of 40 or 50 miles an hour, what more do you really need? If that's all you're using it for, is to go to work or go in town to the grocery store or whatever, what more do you need?
Yeah.
Now, if you're going out of town, out of state or whatever, you're going to want a normal vehicle. But for the purposes of just in-town use, that would suit you just perfect.
Right.
Because it doesn't need to be high performance. It doesn't need a shit and get. It just needs to get you to point A to point B and back to point A.
Right. And we're getting real minimalist here. You and I have talked about this before. We're getting real minimalist here for the chat. And I predict a time where people are going to be running there. You know, they're going to have a little 25 horsepower something that just goes. And that's going to be, you know, all some people can afford, or that's going to be, you know, if things get bad enough here and there, you know. You're right. You're right about that. And we were talking about those little Chinese trucks that like have 25 horsepower and stuff, but they'll get you down the road and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that, you know, China's all great and everything like that, but you know, these in India too, let's just say India too, because they use them there too. And they have these little diesel engines that are like 1,000 cc's with 25 horsepower. And you can take the engine out and set it on the ground and use it as a power generator too. It's like an all-purpose, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm just like,
that kind of reminds me. I saw this today. Here, let me see if I can get back to it and screen share. I thought this was pretty funny. I didn't take this picture. Just if y'all are to ask, I saw this on Facebook. I think it was. Let's see. Windows. Right here. Sorry, guys. Got to figure this out. Can y'all see it?
yeah, okay, I can see something
Yeah.
here.
I thought this was freaking funny.
What is that? I'm looking at a little thumbnail something.
Trying to figure out how to zoom this
A
shit.
vehicle of some kind.
Yeah, it's like you know, like an Astrovan.
Yeah.
It's take an Astrovan and chop the entire middle portion out,
Uh-huh.
and then put the two halves back together.
Oh, okay.
So it's like an extremely short Astrovan, not only lengthwise but apparently height-wise, and it's all in a
Nice.
little miniature trailer. I just saw that, and it gave me quite a laugh, because and it kind of reminded me of, you know, what we're talking about now. Of, what more do you need putting around town?
Right. And, you know, like I saw these guys, they were making a little miniature truck. This was, I want to say in India, perhaps Nepal, someplace like that, where you got to kind of make do with what you got. And they were manufacturing these little cars. They were literally like welding the tubular frame together, and they were putting like aluminum paneling on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were just dropping these little, you know, 1,000 cc, you know, diesel multi-fuel. It looks like a generator engine to me that you can connect to a power transfer bar, right? Yeah, and it's like it was written in, like, part of it was written in Hindi and the other part was in English, and it's like you know, manufactured on site, call for estimates or something like that. And they're just like, dude, it looks like a regular size like house garage is what they were welding it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
We got
apparently starting up your own business is not a big deal in India. Apparently,
we got someone showing up late to the game.
Uh-oh.
We got here. We got a wild Honda 420. What's going on, brother?
Yo, I like actually got off of work super early, and I saw you were live, so I thought I'd say hello.
Awesome, man. Well, that's good.
Hi.
It's always good to get off a little early. You know, kick back, relax.
Bro,
Yeah,
it
I
was
decided to go live because Matt had some family stuff to take care of, and just thought I'd fill in.
Hope everything's okay.
Is MIA.
Hope everything's okay. Yeah, dude, I fucking walked in the door to work, and it was like, pow in the kisser, pow in the kisser, pow in the kisser, all fucking night. And then all of a sudden, someone just turned off the fucking valve, and everyone stopped coming in. So it was nice. I made decent money, and it was really stressful because I was with some new chick in my area. It was just me and her, and so it was like 2 for me, 1 for you, kind of all night long. Which, when it's busy, that makes it like it was rough, dude. We got through it, though. We got through it, and I made some money, so it's good.
Hey, you can't complain when you make some money.
Sure, you
right?
can't. No, you can fucking complain. Shut. No.
I used to get off early all the time. My girlfriend didn't appreciate it. I know, right?
Yeah, you can complain, but I mean, can't complain too much if you're making money. You know, because it could be worse. You couldn't be making any at all. But let me catch up with some of these chats real quick. Had some coming in while we're, you know, flapping at the gums. Gotta go back a little ways. Start here. Dwayne said it's pretty expensive to convert your engine, so it'll run on that. Well, yeah, but it's not impossible.
It's run on what?
Vegetable oil and alternative diesels and stuff like that.
Yeah, like brake fluid and stuff. Because I don't know if you've seen that video where that guy's like pouring, all these different liquid, all these different oils and stuff combined, and that he processed into fuel, and that's what his vehicle ran off of.
I thought a diesel motor could basically just run off of vegetable oil.
The old ones can. The new ones have all sorts of gadgets and shit in them that it's not conducive to, but like the old, like from the 80s or earlier, you can run it on vegetable oil, you can run it on diesel, biodiesel, a whole bunch of different stuff.
Because I was watching
and it'll run just fine.
Remember they used to have like that, like all these like prepper shows on fucking Discovery Channel and shit, and I forget the name of the one that I was watching, but this guy had like a fucking deuce and a half, and his plan was to go around to power lines and like the transformers on power lines, like they sit in a bath of mineral oil to protect them from corroding and to stop them from overheating and all. Like there's like several reasons that they do. But if there's no electricity running through the power lines, you might as well shoot a couple holes through the fucking thing, drain out the oil onto a giant tarp, and then like filter the tarp oil into the fucking gas tank, and you can keep running deuce and a half.
Yeah, it'll literally run on anything flammable. And we were talking about how you can make something that can double as gasoline, which is turpentine. You can just by processing pine trees, and pine sap and stuff like that. So
was Ohio Patriot whacking off on camera earlier? What's up with that?
No, I was just falling asleep. I haven't been sleeping good lately.
You were fapping on camera?
Nah, you would never see that.
You were just fapping on microphone.
On mic, yeah.
Yeah, you were just on mic. Just gonna.
But yeah, a lot of those videos have been popping up in my feed, like the short videos, the 30-second jobs. And I wonder if they're being algorithmically promoted for a specific reason, or maybe it's just all of my searches about engines and stuff like that has yielded that. I don't know.
Apparently, a deuce and a half has a special engine. I don't know things. I don't know, man. I wait fucking tables. I don't know about deuce and a halfs. I just fucking saw that shit on some prepper show like 20 years ago, and it fucking stuck in my memory hole.
Yeah.
And now it's coming out of a face hole that makes noises.
I mean, but they have like multi-fuel engines that'll run pretty much on anything. The real trick is if you're going to mix gasoline in there, then put something else in there to thicken it so that the viscosity and the octane levels are within tolerances and stuff like that. But for the most part, you can put just about anything that'll run as gasoline, you can run it through there.
Heard that mineral oil and transformers will give you super cancer? Yeah, probably, dude. I mean, like, there's a lot of shit that gives you fucking super cancer these days. They're finding out, mainly like tap water and like stuff that you would think is good for you, or at least like safe or whatever. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Like when you say super cancer, I'm picturing that lump on what's his face's neck with a cape on it.
Yeah, there's like a 1 in 100 chance that you'll turn into Deadpool.
What's that guy's name? That senator that can't talk?
Kennedy?
No, he's got the lump on his neck. Fetterman, yeah.
Oh, he can't talk now?
Well, I mean, he can't talk very well, is what I mean.
Well, there's lots of them that can't talk very well. Jesus Christ. That's
well,
like
you know what I mean.
Fucking Senate, dude.
I mean, he was having a hell of a time doing a Senate hearing the other day.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, bro, like that guy needs to step down. He would just be like, look, I know I won. I know you guys liked me, but I can't do this job, so here's my wife or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I say just let it ride. Let him go. You know what I mean? You voted for him. You made your bed, now lie in it,
Well, I mean, it's just proving the point that the Democrats would vote for a ham sandwich as long as it's got a D by the fucking name.
as long as it has a lump on its neck.
I mean, they put it in a dead guy.
Yeah. What was the story behind that? Like they voted for him and like not knowing that he had already passed away like a little while ago or something like that?
Yeah, it was some dude for like a mayor in like some city in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude was dead and he fucking won. And they're like, what do we do? Did you see the Carrie Lake fucking trial started? Her lawyers.
I heard about that.
I was watching it, dude. Her lawyer's a fucking retard. She's not gonna win.
Yeah.
Like if she had a good lawyer who was like on point and making like really good points and like asking poignant questions and bringing good people, like they've got all the evidence in the world. They've got like firsthand evidence of like, I forget what the exact story was, but it was something like they'd have to verify at the rate that they did it and with the number of verifications that went through each office, they would have had to go through the verification process, which is like a 6-step process, in 3 seconds per signature on average.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning they didn't fucking do it. I mean,
Right.
like, let's be honest. Like, that's as much time as it takes to click through the buttons as quick as you can, you know?
Right.
So, but that being said, if her lawyers suck ass and aren't good at making points and aren't good at fucking driving the point home and aren't good at fucking, like, bringing the evidence in and doing things in front of a judge, they're not going to win. And it's not, it's a bench trial, so there's no jury. You have to prove the shit to a judge who was a lawyer who knows your bullshit and tricks and sees right through them, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I don't see this going anywhere. Carrie Lake probably isn't going to get anything overturned. But that being said, it's nice to have the discovery and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's nice to get it on the record, to get all the discrepancies on the record.
Well, and it's not going to fix the 2022 election if they find that anything was wrong with it. All it's going to do is allow them to fix any further elections moving forward if they're fucking, I mean, like the signature verification aspect of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, they'll be able to fix that part of elections going forward.
Hey, Leo, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, Leo? What's going on, brother? Sorry, guys, I'm back.
Hey, what up?
Welcome
I had
back.
to go to the bathroom and get a drink and had to feed the dogs real quick. I didn't realize that you got this damn late.
I'm going to
more than
Mike.
3 6 is masturbating.
I didn't even know you were. I was just talking and talking. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I told y'all to ask you to cover for me.
Got it. I'm going to mic down for a second while I do a round, and then I'll be back in about 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, you're gonna pop up around? Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna desk pop.
Yeah.
He's going to go FAP, but he's going to do it off mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't want to be like Ohio, just breathing heavy and stuff. So. Yeah. No, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and I'll talk to you guys in a minute.
All right. Yeah, that shit was funny a while ago. You fucking Daniel saying that Ohio was planting the seed live on chat because he was breathing hard.
Just because I like to do it publicly.
You like to masturbate publicly?
No, I'm just fucking around.
I mean, who doesn't?
I never have. I don't know. I've never had an audience of people watching me while I do it.
You gotta get at least one in.
I've never even had like one person watch me while I do it, to be honest.
To me, that would be weird, and no. When I was in college, at my welding shop across the street was a park, and we had this real weird, creepy guy that came to the classes. He was always by himself. I don't know if he was on the spectrum or not, but he was just real weird. But one day we see the cops, swarming around the park and everything, and we later find out that old boy was sitting in his vehicle at the park facing because they had that track you could run around the park, and he was just going to town, watching the women jog around the park.
Dude, there was one day at work, a homeless guy walked in the back door, like the employee entrance that's supposed to be locked, but someone like propped it open so they could go smoke a cigarette or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And a homeless guy just like let himself in, and walked through the back hallway where there's like employee lockers and like coat hangers and stuff like that where everyone puts their shit. And he stole a girl's purse who worked there, right? And like immediately walked back out the door that he came in, trailing things that he's just going through the purse and throwing things away that he doesn't want until he finds pictures in her purse.
Mm-hmm.
And then so like girl notices her purse is missing because she sees her shit in the hallway. And they're like, wait, my shit's in the hallway? Like goes to a manager figures out what's going on, follows the trail of like discarded items from the purse around the back of the building where the homeless dude is whacking it, just like laying inside of a bush. Just like, here's a bush, let me just like use it as a bed, pull down my pants, lay down in the bush and start whacking it, looking at these fucking purse pictures, right? So this female manager walks up like, excuse me. The guy stands up, pulls up his pants like he's reading the Sunday paper, and just walks away. Like, welcome to Denver.
Sounds about right.
How rude of her. She should have let him finish and then say, excuse me. All right, now you done fucked up his stroke.
Actually, I think I've got a video of my manager talking about that story. She doesn't work there anymore, but like I recorded her talking about this story. I'd have to find it. It was from a while ago. I posted it though.
Okay, I guess.
So,
Sorry, I
we
stepped.
brought the conversation down.
No, sorry, I.
the captivation of the audience there, host of the chat, Corey. Good job.
Fuck you guys. No, I had to do something else real quick.
You had to finish.
Yeah, no.
You had to finish the Honda story.
Guys, everyone
How
just
does
whacking
sex
it tonight? Is it just like a fucking semen fest up in this bitch?
Yeah.
No, I had
Just
to
like a
feed-
fucking cream pie? You should just name this the cream pie chat.
And you wonder why we can't get no women on the show.
You wonder why no one's monetized or why we're always fucking shadow banned.
Right.
Yeah, Honda. I think you need better co-hosts. I think we suck at this.
No, yeah, it's just a natural evolution with us. Our content just devolves rather quickly.
I was pretty annoyed last night, I gotta admit.
Do
Because
what?
every time I like started talking, someone would start talking too. And then I would shut up to listen to them. And then I'd let them finish. And then I would try to say my thing. And then I would just like, I was never able to talk unless I was like screaming it. Very, very, and then there's that part of it. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Fucking Xanatos is just like playing with his pistol all night. I almost called it something else.
He was flogging the pistol. Yeah, it does make chats a little hard to carry on, you know, with certain things like that happen.
A big part of it is if people are on their cell phone. Because if you're on a computer or a like laptop or whatever, there's basically no latency between you talking and me hearing it. It's almost instantaneous. But if you're on a cell phone for some reason, there's like a half second to a full second delay. And so when you're on a cell phone, you're always like a little bit behind everybody. And so you end up interrupting people a lot, even if, you know, like if you're trying not to, you'll do it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, that's why you get that little message before you go live saying it's better to have like your Ethernet cable hooked up to get a better signal. So going out just strictly wireless, probably a lot more delay when it comes to StreamYard.
And I try my best not to overtalk anybody, or I try to wait to pick the right moment to interject to, comment on what we're talking about or add to it or bring up something else. But sometimes y'all can get a little long-winded on things, and it's like, shit, fuck.
I do that sometimes, I know. Matt does that sometimes, like, fucking, like, I don't mind it if you're, like, as much, I guess, if you're, like, moving on to a new point and, like, you have something else to add. But if you're just reiterating things that you've already said 5 times, like, that's what Matt does. I mean, he says the same things again and again. That's what reiterating means. That's what Matt does. I just did a Matt. That's a Matt right there. I only did it twice.
And I don't mind it,
It's just funny. It's just
you get
funny
on something you're passionate about or whatnot. But yeah, it's hard to know when you can jump in and not be rude or a dick for over talking somebody, especially when it's their chat or something. So I don't know. Let me get to some of these comments real quick. Dwayne says, love my new purchase, Beretta APX1. Why nobody caught onto those is crazy at their price point. Yeah, I've heard they're good guns. I know a couple people that own them and say they're great guns. I think they look pretty cool. But congratulations on your new gun. But I don't know why they haven't caught on. I mean, they're Berettas, so they got to be great. And then Daniel says, maybe they should add a message that says it's better to have an Ethernet cable and speak it before the chat starts. I guess, maybe. Oh, Lord. Just the chat devolved to petting the one-eyed monster. Why not,
If you want to play that first link I dropped in the back chat, that's what I was actually looking at on Twitter there.
Yeah, I was looking at it a while ago.
Yeah, it's like the blatant shit. It's very similar to what happened to me, honestly, a few years back.
Can I play that on YouTube?
As far as I'm aware. These are late FBI agents fucking with American citizens again.
Yeah, let me see. Let me present screen share. Click that button. Click that one. Yep, that's it. And share. Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
All right, let's start this over. Pause it.
Yeah, sure. My name's Ashley Roberts. We just need to speak with her regarding some information that was sent to us. Okay. Okay. Do you mind giving us her residence or her phone number?
So what exactly are they here? You've already seen it. So what are they there for?
So there's a woman who works, I forget which company it is. It's like a grassroots organization for pro-life people or something. They went to her parents' house to fuck with her mom and dad, knowing full well she didn't live at the house.
Okay, for what? For posting stuff or?
No, it's just blatant FBI fucking fuckery going on nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's finish. Can y'all hear it okay?
Not in any trouble. We just have information that we can ask her about.
Here. Do you mind if I take a picture of your badges?
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to have anyone take our pictures.
Could I see it again, please?
Sure.
It's like bullshit. You're on my property. Take a picture all fucking day.
Yeah. Well, you can always call our office too, and they can verify our employment because it is weird. Not every day you get a knock on the door from the FBI.
No, and I'm like in a meeting upstairs, so I wasn't trying to not answer. Well, yeah, I was trying not to answer the door.
No worries,
And I'm like, oh my gosh, whoever's at the door is being like uber persistent. Give me a minute.
Sorry.
So no, that's okay.
We can leave you our office number.
Yeah, let me do that. That sounds good.
This is such bullshit. This is just scare tactics, intimidation.
Just go like hard libertarian on and be like, am I under arrest? Am I free to go? Am I under arrest? Do you have a warrant? Do you have a warrant? Just like.
I would
slam the door.
Sorry to interrupt.
Slam the door on them.
No, you're good.
I would.
So,
I
can you
would.
tell me what
The
you
way
said
my
in
door is, I have a
regards
window
to-
next to it, and if anyone knocks on my door, I usually open that window and be like, "Can I help you? Who you are?" You know, if it's something like this, I'll be like, "Good day to you," and shut the door or shut the window and walk off. I'll never open that door.
I'd say something like, I don't answer questions to FBI agents without a lawyer present. Goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will ask the blonde if he wants the information. Can you come to my bedroom? And can I have your personal cell number? And what do you like to eat?
Of course you would, Leo. Gotta play. You gotta have that game going 24/7, huh?
Yep.
No.
If you give me a little something, I'll give her a little something. You know what I mean?
What were they there about at the house about?
Do what?
Why were they at that house?
I don't know. It says new FBI agents Ashley Robert and Kathleen Brown show up at the childhood home of pro-life activist Elise Ketch. The agents asked to speak to Ketch, who's a member of PAAUN now. I don't know what the heck that is. It's probably because they, oppose them. So they're just going after him, I guess. I don't know. Let's finish and see if they say anything.
And we would tell you all the information because, like I said, she's not in any trouble. But just out of respect for her, we'd like to speak with her first, and then if she feels like talking to you, which I'm sure she will, because nothing, then
All right.
And if it's nothing, just go the fuck away.
All I hear is oinking noises coming from her.
So yeah, FBI Washington. That's
Yeah.
our number. That's our
And what's your name?
Kathleen Brown.
Hold on, I gotta masturbate real quick into my microphone.
Let's not say we do. Apparently, it's just I don't know, just government doing stupid government shit.
Which one are you going to masturbate to? The one on the left or the right?
Probably the blonde one, I gotta admit.
How about both?
Stop.
Are they kissing together?
I prefer the blonde.
Stasi's gonna Stasi.
Shot red. Got a late shot
I'm here.
red to the
Hello.
Hey. So I'm
Ooh.
happy to see that. What's that?
you got there.
He has
Oh,
an
okay.
FBI card. FBI card. Of an
I don't
agent.
know.
Federal
Call
Bureau of
me.
Investigation.
Call me.
Okay, what did you do now, Ohio?
What haven't we did?
Right. No, I'm sure that was who it was before they came knocking on your door.
I guess I'm under their radar because I'm just like right next to all the rest of them. They don't speak what's behind you.
Fucking Calhoun. He said, "Be like squeal like a pig, squeal."
I'm gonna buy me that PSA Harrison Richards, M16A1. Can't wait.
Yeah, I saw your post about it. It's just the lower.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice. It's your typical, M16 clone.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually dig that layout or that setup. I don't personally have one yet, but I dig that setup. It's just classic. Something about classics that always get me.
Oh, I like the A1 styles. Never like the A2s.
Yeah.
And that one's the trap door, so even better.
Mm-hmm. Y'all got anything y'all want to talk about? I'm kind of running out of things to go on. If you got anything else to add, want to talk about, just post in the comments. Y'all got anything y'all want to bring up?
I
Back to
just
that-
want to do this.
Back to that survivability and stuff, like as far as like homesteading or whatever. They actually make this tank that your waste goes into, like when you flush the toilet, and it actually composts it and like naturally, and then releases the methane that you can pipe back into your house to use for like cooking gas and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to, maybe I'll post it in on the forums and stuff like that. I think I might have already, but I'll do it again.
Power of shit.
So. Power of shit. Seriously.
Yeah, I think it's good to have multiple engines that run off of different types of fuels.
Yep.
It's just because you never know. And the way that guy, the video we're talking about earlier, the way he did it, he actually basically took all the different oils and stuff and refined it down, I guess, to take all the trash and impurities out and used it in his vehicle. But if you could do that with like generators or mopeds or bikes, heck yes, why not? You know, I'm sure there's probably a few things you would have to change in order for it to run off that stuff well and properly, you know, not have issues. So
as far as I understand, there's only been one motorcycle that runs off of diesel, and it was a Kawasaki KLR that was produced for the military for like a year. They made a couple thousand of them, and it's these like military Kawasaki's. They're actually fucking kind of cool and hard to find, but they run off of, they're like dual fuel. They run off of like either gasoline or fucking diesel.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I would think you would made a couple more made out of diesel. Is it just because that one's only dual fuel?
I guess. Why didn't it catch on though? If they only did, you know, a couple thousand, was there something wrong about it, or people just didn't give a shit about it?
Not sure exactly why they didn't take off. Maybe because like a diesel fucking engine, like a 650 diesel, something's not right about it. You know, I'm not sure.
Right.
Either that, or they were just moving on to another model or something.
Maybe. I know
was
everything
that
right now.
U.S. military? Sorry, go ahead.
EV shit. So.
Yeah, it was U.S. military.
Oh, okay.
That'd be cool to have one of those though.
Yeah, that would be.
Just something a little different, more unique. But I couldn't imagine how much one of those would cost since there was a limited run of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know, guys. We've been going, you know, close to 2.5 hours. It's longer than I actually initially intended on. So,
it's a good show. It was good. It was good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, it was a good show. I appreciate you guys showing up, and I think that's gonna wrap it up. Y'all have a good evening. Enjoy your weekend coming up, and I'm sure Matt NEA will be back tomorrow for it's today's Friday, right?
Today's Wednesday.
Holy hell! I'm like,
Yeah,
Shit, I know.
Wow. Enjoy your weekend there, buddy.
I'm tired. It's been a long day, but no, I'm sure he'll be back tomorrow for his chat by himself. So, all right, guys, I'll leave you with that laugh.
That's good.
Yeah,
I got like 3 hours of work. I'm working like crazy.
Catch you later, guys.
Later.
Penis.
Later.
Penis.
Penis.